So, hello there. This is Aaron, the Stormboy Surfer, or Instagram at the Stormboy Surfer, if you want to check that out. And here, most people that follow me on Instagram see me. I make stuff out of like driftwood and stuff, turn it into seashell necklaces and things like that. But today I'm going to talk about guitars, because although no one knows me for this aside from my friends, but I've built guitars over the years. This is my first major custom build, SDG Custom from 2009. It was built out of an old Memphis brand. I don't know much about them. I think they're related to Gibson. And this is an old neck and body that I got for free from a music store in Manchester, New Hampshire. Manchester Music Mill, actually. If they're still there, the guy Joseph, the guy that ran it, really cool guy. Anyways, they had this for free, the body, not the whole parts and all that, but the body. And pickguard I got pretty much for free. And I bought the pickguard, and I bought the pickups from their used parts rack, which they actually had, which was really neat. And then I bought the rest of the hardware, the bridge and all that, were things I'd bought for projects, tuners, or things I'd actually got at Guitar Center, and I like to buy local, but every so often you got to get stuff from Guitar Center, I guess. Kind of like in surfing, it's like, buying stuff from Ron John versus going to a local surf shop, it's like I buy my board shorts from Ron John because I can get the, Vans and stuff like that, the stuff that's going to last for a while, but I buy my boards at, Core Surf because they're the best in town, the guy knows what he's talking about. I've been buying boards from them for years, all that. Anyway, so this guitar started off just being black. It didn't have this blue finish on there, this cool relic job that I did about a year and a half ago. I rebuilt this thing with blue strings and all this. So again, for those of you on Instagram, again, this is going to show you some more about creativity. I've been doing stuff for years, and now I'm really just trying to promote myself, get it out there so people can see. So all these contours were stuff I added there on my own. It's hard to see with this terrible lighting. The camera setup I'm using for video isn't the best right now. These are all put in by hand. All these little shapes in here that were formed based on it, I'm better at understanding the stuff now. So looking back and thinking, wow, I actually put this together and really thought this thing through. Sorry about the cars going by here. But I designed this to fit around the contour of your hand when you're playing, and you want to get up into those higher fret registers. This is only about a 21 or 22 fret guitar. But if it had 24 frets and you went up to here, and that would be right into the neck pickup there. But you could reach up there, You could actually try to play a note on that pickup if you wanted to. It would sound kind of weird. But a little bit more story on this. So SDG was something that I'd heard from somebody. I was homeschooled, and I'd heard from someone that Soli Deo Gloria, 3 words, Latin. It was something that supposedly Beethoven used to sign his symphonies with, and you can fact check that all you want. But basically, Soli Deo Gloria means for God's glory alone. So that was something, at the time I was thinking, like, that's really cool, and I want to put that on my guitar, because a lot of what I do is based on trying to honor my Creator, honor God for this life we're given. I try not to be too preachy about that, because I don't, I'm an artist, and my main thing is to, you'll see that in my artwork, more than just hearing me say it, if I just say it too often. But anyways, so that was what I put on my headstock, and I didn't care who knew or didn't know what that was. I'm just like, I'm going to put that up there. And so I came up with this cool logo. I actually designed this on CorelDRAW 9, I think I had at the time, that my dad had, or CorelDRAW 7, I forget what it was we had. And I printed it out onto either paper or cardstock, laid it out, and all this here is actually just Sharpie that I just hand drew around that little stencil that I'd cut out the letters, put them on there. I didn't even stick them down, I just like held them in place. And the reason it's kind of blurry on those letters is because when I went to put the clear coat on it the first time, I didn't think about the fact that the clear coat is liquid, even though it's spray on, and it started making that Sharpie ink start to run, actually, which was kind of terrible. And so it kind of never stopped being like this. Even when I rebuilt this about a year or two ago, I tried sanding that down and redoing it. And I'm like, I'm never really going to make that too perfect. I don't really care at this point. It's going to look beat up and old the way it should at this point. And a lot of the hardware, because I'm by the ocean all the time now, just like got so much corrosion on it. I'm going to have to probably replace this jack, although I'd rather refurbish it because, you know, it just has this cool patina to it. And being the inventive person that I am, look at the the controls here. You got a volume, you got a tone, and you got this weird little click on, click off knob. You're like, what is all that? There's no pickup selector switch. Like, okay, all you guitarists out there, why not? Well, because I had my own idea. So this is from a Fender guitar, but it's a lace sensor. And again, I got these used. This is the DiMarzio X2N. Look it up. It's one of the original twin blade hot humbucker type humbuckers, full size twin blade, not these little miniature ones they put in the single coil size pickup cavities and stuff. And it's a very loud. It's from the 1979 is when that thing was designed. Not this specific one, but that's when they designed it anyway. So it's just got this really brutal, punchy, you know, like in your face kind of, you know, it's got really, you know, loud kind of sound. This one overpowers this one by far. And I say that, and that normally wouldn't make much difference, except that instead of a pickup selector, your tone knob is actually, it's a fader essentially. So you roll it all the way this way, you get just the neck. You roll it all the way back, and you get just the bridge. I'll have to do another video at some point where I can hook this up and show you what this thing sounds like. This is just more explaining my creative process when I think about how I build things, and this is one of the oldest significant things that I've built and that I have still sitting here. Some of it's at my parents' house, and my dad's looking through my stuff now and being like, I didn't know you made that. I'm like, yeah, well, I forgot I made it too. I don't really care. I mean, like this thing here, which was, I work in a parking lot for a local restaurant, and so I was trying to make a stencil so I could put it on the back of my shirts, because none of even my company shirts have the word parking on the back, which is kind of dumb. So like, oh, I'll just go to the hardware store and make a stencil, which is what I did. And now I'm trying to make that thing work right, but right now it just looks cool sitting on my wall in my office, my van office here. So anyway, so I've been pulling this thing out of cobwebs and trying to create music with it again. This sticker actually used to be on one of my first surfboards. This sticker is one of these little bubble top ones that I got from a Vans rep at Surf Expo back in 2013, I think. And that was really cool to be able to go to that a few times. And I just like walk up to the Vans booth and I'm like, hey man, you got any stickers? Like a total kook nerd, you know, whatever. And the guy being as nice as he was, because, you know, I'd gotten a pass through a friend and all this. I'm not a vendor, I'm just hanging out there. And the guy being nice like he was, well, no, we don't, but here, let me give you this. And that's where that came from. So it's got a little history to it. And both these have been on the guitar since before I rebuilt it that year and a half ago. And so it used to be this silver color. It's hard to see. You can see the black, which was the original color. This little part here is going to be hard to see, but you can see some of the wood in there, the original, all the way down the finish when I first started contouring this. So you can see this kind of silverish gray kind of thing. It's going to be terrible in this light. I don't know why I didn't set up some better lights or whatever. I just started doing this. Anyway, slow day. I need to do something creative with my time, and the light's changing with the sun coming through from here, which kind of makes my face look kind of cool, like I should be doing heavy metal here. You know, something. Anyway, ignore that. So the silver or gray, I'd taken this thing and put this finish on there, this base coat. It was old stuff was sitting around. I think my dad, I should have learned the hard way, because my dad had used this same stuff to paint a cabinet somewhere in our house back in New Hampshire, and that had taken like, I don't know, a week to dry or something, or a month or whatever it was. So I should have known that stuff was bad, but I was like, whatever, this is a good stuff for his base coat, and I didn't know much about finishing at the time, so I put that down. And then I had bought this, you know, silver type stuff that I'd put on this thing. It was supposed to be, it was an automotive finish, and it was supposed to look all silver, and, you know, like, I was thinking it was going to look all perfect, like mirror, silver, smooth kind of stuff. Yeah, good luck with that. I had no experience with finishing at the time. I had no business trying to do that, but I did, you know, so, yeah, the color matches the guitar. See that? You know, I got lighters. I got all sorts of stuff, but, you know, just for storing my stuff. I got blues matching everywhere. My earbuds look like that. Yeah, anyway. Skullcandy earbuds, best in the world, just like Vans. Sorry. And O'Neill wetsuits, I would suggest those too. Anyways, but this finish was just terrible. It didn't hold anything down on top of it. I couldn't get any of the paint that I put down to stay. You know, it just kind of kept cracking and flecking and falling off. So I was thinking, well, okay, I got to deal with this now because I can't fix it. And so it stayed for the first, 2009, first 9 years of this guitar's life. This thing's like 11 years old. As it stands today, it was rebuilt, that year and a half ago or whatever. So, but, as this guitar exists, its core guitar, everything that you see as what it is, has been around for 11 years, or almost. And that finish, when I first put it down, it was like, I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to deal with this. It kept getting worse and worse. It would leave residue in my gig bag, actually, which is probably still some left in that beat up old gig bag that needs to be replaced now. And so, when I rebuilt this thing a year and a half ago, I was sitting there and, what am I going to do with this? I'm working on the back of my van. I don't have much for tools. I can't do anything super fancy. So what do I do? And I came up with this finish design, because this is one of my favorite colors now, being into surfing and into classic cars and stuff. And again, it's hard to see. We've got blue strings here, but that color is something I've used putting like little decorative surfboard designs on my vans and my physical actual, like the thing I'm in right now, actual van vehicles. And I've used this color for a number of different projects over the years. So I had some sitting around. I'm like, oh, let's just paint it that color. I painted that color. It seems to stick down nice. I'm like, that's great. And it looks beautiful. It was all perfectly smooth, And then I put these stripes on there thinking like hot rod. Oh, this is cool. Surfboard, hot rod style, kind of a little bit of both. And then as I'm starting to sand it down, make it smooth, because I know more about finishing now, as I'm starting to do that, and then put the clear coat on top, in the process of doing both those things, the clear coat starts to have problems. All of it starts to, as I'm sanding down the clear coat, it's going right through everything, all the way down to this gray. And I'm like, oh, great. It's still having that same problem. There's still trace amounts of that same primer, essentially, that I put on there, the gray primer that just really, it's still soft. Even after 9 years, it's still soft. Like, what am I going to do with this, So I start sanding it down. I get down to, like, this horn here was the worst part initially. And it was just, like, all just messy and nasty. So, and then I start looking at it. I'm like, that looks really kind of beautiful, actually. That looks really neat, because it's like this cool, worn kind of thing. And I'm so glad I made that mistake, because some of this is intentional. Some of these little spots and things here are put in on purpose now. But again, it's just like explaining creative process. You start thinking, you go through stuff, and one of my philosophies on life, kind of like if you look closely at my tuners, they're not all wound. They're all wound evenly, all the way spiraled up from the base of the tuner all the way up to the top. It's all wound, but the windings are a little bit taller on one peg to the next. One of my philosophies on art is nothing in this earth is ever, as we call, humanly perfect. It's never the same one. You get a mug like this on a production line, all of them look the same. And to me, that's not really what perfection's about. Perfection is about something being 100% what it's supposed to be, not making it look the same as the next thing, because that's how people are. And God makes everything slightly different every time we make something. If you believe in God, then you should believe that perfection isn't about everything being like cookie cutter, plumb, boom, boom. So as I'm creating this, that's something that of course has to seep into my philosophy. If I believe that in my artwork, then I'm going to start creating things like that. And that's exactly what happened here. And it fits the fact that all the hardware, because no matter where you store something, if you're near the ocean, you get salt water in the air all over the place. And so everything's kind of a little bit rusted. It's still functional, but rusted and funny looking. It's not rusted through, it's just rusted on the surface. And so this is a little bit shiny still, but it's got some corrosion on there. And it all blended together so well. These screws used to be brass color, and they're that dark. They're like black, like they got painted that way. And then this jack plate, essentially, which is just a piece of aluminum, that used to be like gold colored, but it's aluminum. From my dad's basement, I had tons of this stuff floating around those years, and I used to make all sorts of stuff out of it, robots, who knows what else I was building with it. And so I painted this black and scuffed it on the edges to kind of fit with the rest of the patina. And that really needed to happen, because that just did not fit with the rest of the guitar at all, and now it does, you know. And but again, this is just a video. Hopefully you're not bored by now, but just explaining creative processes and just talking about life a little bit. You know, you can take stuff that just really shouldn't be anything at all. This guitar really needs a refret, but you know, when I have the tools and time and money, I'll do that. But you know, it works well enough. I could probably level and dress it. That's my probably the next thing I'll do instead of doing that. Borrow some tools from somebody. Some of the frets might be a little bit popped up, but again, at some point I'll get to that. Right now I'm just breaking it out of the box because I haven't been playing music in a while and trying to jam on it a little bit. I got it tuned to Dadgad tuning because I'm an emo punk, and you know, I listen to stuff like Hammock and Explosions in the Sky, and you know, a lot of post-rock type music. You know, never mind the name, that's a good band, you should check them out, and things like that. That's a song by them. Here at the End, look them up, they're amazing. I mean, the guys play Strandberg guitars, so you know, Strandbergs are one of those guitars that are really kind of neat and strange and unusual. I want to try one day, but you almost have to be a good artisan to be able to play a Strandberg. If you're showing up on YouTube with a Strandberg, that means you know what you're doing, or else you're going to look like a complete fool, like, I don't know, something like that. So, enough about that, about how I build stuff. If I ever build guitars again, they're probably going to have a SBC on there instead of an SDG. It's going to be like Stormboy Creative, something like that. Although I might go back to this because it is kind of cool. And I already have the logo. I can just copy that literally and pretty easily now. Anyway, back to normal life. Have a good day.